Have you ever listened to psychic mediums and everything turns out to be light and bright and all is well? Have you then realized that there's more to reveal, that maybe something is missing? Welcome to Shades of Spirit Radio with me, psychic medium Jaime. Join me as I connect you to all shades of spirit during this live call-in show. I'm a medium, Reiki master, spiritual connector, and paranormal investigator. I provide a safe space for people to turn when they are scared and need a non-judgmental heart. I'm going to help you, the listeners, identify ways you can connect by supplying the spiritual tools you can use in your everyday life when connecting with spirit. We reach everyone and exclude no one. Are you ready to connect with spirit? This show is leaving nothing off limits. Shades of Spirit starts now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shades of Spirit. I am psychic medium Jaime, also a Reiki master, providing you a fun-filled show today. Welcome to my new time slot. I had a lot of family obligations going on, trying to get this together to be on a Tuesday morning. And so now things are starting to slow down. Though I'm not going to lie, little emotional week because my middle daughter is heading off to college on Friday. So it's been quite the roller coaster ride when you're getting them ready to go and you're excited for them to go. And then all of a sudden it's time for them to go and you're like, you can't leave. And so that's been a lot of what's been happening is she puts all her stuff out on the tables and organizes it. But that's the course of life, right? And so we just have to ride those waves and know that as parents, we've done a great job. And, my connection with spirit, being able to show me kind of, the direction that they go in a little bit. Now they all take their own lives. And yes, I can kind of tune into my own kids, just like if I do a reading for someone and kind of see where they're kind of headed. And it's just a beautiful process, which I love. But today we're talking about something that LaShawn and I have near and dear to our heart, and that is the paranormal. So LaShawn The Luminous Mystic is joining me today because we decided in 1 week, let's do two completely different locations and let's investigate both of them, where LaShawn has got like the most comfy outfit on right now. I'm just loving this outfit. We're like, screw it. We're putting on the sweatshirt. That's really the week that we have had here. And the glasses that match. Now, I've not seen this pair. I'm really liking this pair. No, is this new?
Yes, it's new.
So we've had a week, have we not?
Yeah, quite the week. It's amazing when we do have these type of weeks. It's interesting. It's never a dull moment. But I would say this week was kind of taxing when it comes to the paranormal compared to what we have had in the past. And to do a couple of them within the same week it's something.
It's a lot. But would we do it again? Absolutely. Yes. Which is where we're going. So for you guys that don't know yet, I don't know how you can't, but it's okay because, we're just going to keep talking about it. LaShawn and I have obviously our own businesses. So we are women-owned businesses. LaShawn has Luminous Mystic, Luminous Path with Love. She is a Luminous Mystic. And I have Shades of Spirit LLC. And what we've done is we've created a baby. LaShawn and I have had a baby. It's beautiful. And we've created Paranormal Road Trip. And you guys can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook. I'm going to be working this week diligently on getting YouTube up because I feel like that's a good next step. Eventually, the website will unfold, but ultimately, you guys don't need a website in order to get a hold of us because we've got all of our contact information on Instagram and we have TikTok. So, we'll try and post some things on there as well. But as of now, we've been doing this together for years. It was time to create a baby and make it something that has a name and a purpose now, which I love. Because when we give it a name, we give it a purpose, it goes into its own Akashic records, which is fascinating how businesses, homes, all that stuff ties into the Akashic records. But now we've made a record for our baby. Oh, I feel like we're like doing some sort of compilation album. Perfect. The first one is Paranormal. And with that being said, that now is to take us into a completely different space because not all of my Shades of Spirit viewers and followers and clients, as I'm sure you can agree, are into the paranormal.
Right.
And so by creating kind of a separate entity, you guys are still going to see paranormal stuff on Shades of Spirit and on Luminous Path with Love, because that's part of who we are and what we do. And we get a lot of our clients from you all. But at the same time, we're moving into a different area as well, to be able to be a source for those people that really are in the paranormal, that are really having hard times and searching for paranormal groups to be able to come help and to investigate their homes, which is what happened this week. So I had a client reach out. LaShawn and I had been there before. She was doing some construction on her property, was having some activity. Actually wasn't even having a lot of activity. She was referred to me by a friend of ours who had given her a reading. And that friend had felt like there was some type of activity on the property and gave her our information. So we went out and we, got our information from Spirit and kind of connected some things that she was able to validate about the land and what had happened on the surrounding land. So that was really validating for us. We were able to kind of do our thing where we work on kind of clearing out some of that energy and raising the vibration, and then told her to call us back when she finished kind of the construction. Because if you guys don't know, when you disrupt the land, the majority of the time, not all, the majority of the time, you're going to have an increase in activity in your home and on the land, right? So you look at a lot of those areas out, Marietta, Temecula, those outskirts, Menifee, where they're constantly building. And how many times have we gotten calls and been out in those areas because of the amount of construction going on? So she called us a few months later. She goes, I know it's a little bit longer than it should have been, with actual activity in her space. And so we were like, okay, let's go, because that's what we like to do. Right. So LaShawn got all of her equipment, and she'll talk about things that she found on it, what the equipment piece is, how does it work here in a second. And we were actually able to validate the main area in the home, which was the main area that she was having issues with, by evidence from the equipment, as well as the timing of things that we were feeling, and then the things that were happening with the equipment that we were holding, that we had on the dresser, and that LaShawn had. So for us, it is very scientific as well as spiritual. And I think it's important when we're doing this type of work that we come at it in a scientific way, using the tools that have been created in order to gauge energy. And then to be able to be in that space of intuitive, psychics, mediums. I mean, you just throw it all into one bunch for us. And to be able to feel what the client is feeling in the same area gives them validation. And then to have it pull up on the equipment just solidifies that that's the spot that we need to work on. And then be able to get to some of what we did is we asked a lot of questions to our client. This isn't something that we have to be secret about, or we don't want them to tell us information. And really got to the source of some of her own physical pain in her body as to when it started the activity to being associated with someone that she met. I mean, I have the chills, blew my mind at how all of that came together. So when we go to a location, LaShawn, what are the goodies in your goodie bag first? Let's let everybody know that, yeah, we are the real deal. We have the equipment that you're going to see on all of those ghost shows on TV, right? The ones that have been around for 20 plus years, the stuff that you have purchased that we are using for our investigations is legit stuff. Like you will see it on TV. That's how much we care about making sure we bring the correct evidence to you guys. So you always got your little wheelie case, right? If it's not holding crystals and stuff to fix crystals with, then it's got paranormal stuff in it. So explain some of the pieces of equipment that we brought to the house on Monday.
Okay, so the first thing that we brought was the SLS camera, which is the camera that shows the stick figures, if you will, is the simplest way I could put it for everybody to understand. So without going into like the technical stuff of it, what it does is it shows when spirit is in the room with us. Now, when I say this, I really say this somewhat loosely, just because spirit can still be in a room, but not show itself on any of our equipment or cause any of it to go off. But when we do get it, And when they do show themselves on there, it's nothing short of amazing. And in that case, with that was, I guess we'll get to that. But we also had the Ovulus, which is this is my new toy, which when they first made them, they only made, I think it was like 1,000 of them. And this was years and years ago. I have been waiting for one of these for a very long time. I got my hands on one. And this one does a lot because there's words that come up. So there's a dictionary that is in within the device that allows spirit to manipulate it and choose the words that is relevant to them, to what we're doing or whatnot. What I love about this one is it does not throw words out there. So if spirit is not picking those words, saying those words, then it doesn't come up. Okay. Then of course we have the K2 meters, which this one is now my favorite compared to the older ones. Okay. And what I love about this one is it has the temperature at the bottom, which is great because I just checked it for against my house and what my house says it is and versus this, and it's exactly the same thing. But it also lights up when it's very high EM electromagnetic fields being registered. There's a number where you can see how many mgs it is. This is a really good one. So even if, because we heard it all night at the Palomar, not even being in the same room, at least we can hear it and know that something is happening, right? And then of course we have the cat balls, which I don't have any here right now. We have the cat balls, which is now also one of my very favorites. And it's simple. And that one is so inexpensive to get if you just want to have something in your home. We also have the tracer. The tracer is where there's a device that is put on the floor that can track footsteps of spirit. It lights up. Let's see, what else do we have? We have the REM pods that measures temperature, that measures when spirit gets into the boundaries of that field. We also, what else do we have? Oh my God, we just got everything.
And all the things. We had dowsing rods,
pendulums. Yep. And then what else? Oh, our EVPs. So recorded to be able to record EVPs. We have watches that we can also record EVPs on. Yeah, we have quite a bit of stuff. It's a problem. The GS2, which measures temperature, which shows the shape of spirit. There's a laser grid on that. Yeah, we got a lot.
It's a problem, folks, because it's addicting. Buying the equipment, it's addicting. So with that being said, all of this equipment we have out, right? We don't necessarily use every piece of it. It depends. Are we somewhere during the day? Are we somewhere during the night? Some things work better with light. Some things work better when the dark. Now, when we got to our client's house, you and I had the exact same experience just driving up to her home, right? So we entered in to her community and you got there a few minutes before I did. So you thought, well, I'll just drive and kind of get a vibe of the land around the home. This is important, you guys. So when we're doing this work, it isn't just to show up at a house. Hi, how are you? Oh, you got some activity. Oh, I got to chill here. Look, my little meter went off and sorry, thanks. You do have some activity. That's BS. We don't do that. We want to feel what it's like in the area, because sometimes what's happening somewhere in the area, and if our energy is a match for that energy or that situation that's caused this energy, it will be drawn to us. So it doesn't mean that that energy is just haunting our home, haunting being used loosely, folks. It means that it could have been like, oh, this person might be able to see me or feel me, or, oh, I can totally use this person's energy because they're in this particular vibration. Right. We're not all going to be floating and singing songs, eating candy canes and floating on dinosaurs and, unicorns. Okay. We're just not. We're going to have those times where, in this case, grief had caused such a hole, if you will, in the center of this room, that energies were able to come through more freely into her space, and therefore causing disruptions in her own energy, her physical body, the space. So when we drove the property, we both felt heavy, like just coming into the neighborhood. But then you went and expanded past the home. And what did you feel in the land then?
So the further that I went away from the home, the lighter it felt. And so there was still a heaviness, but it wasn't as heavy as like that central area and leading up to the area. Now I come, from the Marietta area going further south. And the interesting thing is the way that the GPS took me this time around, it's everything leading up into that spot as well. That where I can start picking up things and sensing things. But yeah, that area is I felt very heavy. The further that I got away from it, the lighter it was. As I was coming back down to the property, that heaviness was there again. So that's a clear indication that area, and not even just her home, but the land of that area is something that we needed to kind of look into and explore a little more.
Which was fascinating because we knew a little bit of history from being there before. And so what we found out within that area that is kind of, it's bigger properties, if you will. We're more in a rural area. Okay.
Right.
And so their neighborhoods obviously are a little more expansive, but we knew that there was a fire in that area.
Right.
We felt the first time out that there was a little girl there and another female there. And then it came that they were the ones talking about the fire, which they actually had passed in a fire in that area. And the heaviness that set in this area became even more because the house that was nearby, when it was for sale, 2 more people passed.
Right.
In that process of closing escrow. And so what was ironic is it was about the same location as the fire that took the life of the woman and the little girl. So you had a lot of heavy energy. The weather plays a part in the energy vibration as well. So it's been tropical, humid, it was overcast and yet hot. And that it doesn't allow energy to escape. So literally, that's why energy fascinates me. If you think about when you have way too many clothes on and you're sweaty and it's just, there's nowhere for this energy to escape, right? It sticks in those clothes. You're in a sauna. Think of that heavy, that's exactly how it felt, like a wet sauna, just heavy energy. But when you get out, you can finally breathe. And there's fresh air. So all of this energy is kind of being held by our environment and by the atmosphere. So it's this pressure that and honestly, the higher you go up on that hill, the lighter you felt coming up and out of that space. Right. So we were able to validate just the fact of this kind of oppressive energy driving up closer to her house. It wasn't coming from her house. It was coming from the area. Right. And where her energy has been, that energy definitely can seep across the street and be like, hi, I'm coming over as well. So she had called me because she had had something wild happen in her bathroom. And she had sent me a picture and I was like, what the heck? So then I don't tell LaShawn anything. So if I know the information, I don't tell her anything. I have her going blind and vice versa. So when we talk about the Palomar Hotel that we were just at this week as well, LaShawn was the one with the information and I went in blind. So I love how we do that in tandem so that we can have those experiences and be able to validate it through the information that one of us has. So our client got the picture out and we both looked at the picture again and it was, you can't explain it. There's no electricity issues. You just cannot explain what happened. She ended up having to have her walls painted because of what happened in her bathroom. And so we knew that was going to be a central hub, but we just didn't know how active that area was until we put out the REM pod, which then immediately went off. The cat balls on the floor started to go off. You had the SLS set up, but what was one of the most remarkable things about this? Your little friend and you seem to have a little relationship, your 4-legged friend. Who was telling us what was happening firsthand?
It was the dog. It was the dog. And the moment that I pulled into that driveway, that dog stayed attached to me for some reason. And then when I think about it, once things calmed down, because there was a point when it got really quiet, meaning no equipment was going off. It felt a little lighter. They calmed down, which I brought that up to her. It's like, did you notice that these dogs are acting completely different now? But yeah, one of the things that had happened that just kind of really blows my mind is we're standing in the middle of the room and we're talking. I'm experiencing some pretty dreadful pain, dealing with the heart situation, of which I did bring up. But the dog went from standing next to me, he got on the bed, he looks up, and he's sitting on his legs, and he sit up and he's looking up. I'm talking to spirit in my head, and I turn around and I look at him. He barks, and the K2 goes off at the same time. It was yeah. It was pretty insane.
What we're talking about, people. There are no coincidences. And this dog is more of her protector.
Yes.
Yep. And the other one is more of just glued to you. I always need to be around you. Right. So dogs play roles. Cats play roles. They are a telltale sign. When we got there, that dog went directly for LaShawn as she got out of the car. Like, come on and help. Come on. There's something you got to see. And so you have to also pay attention to the non-human beings, the ones that are running around on four legs that have been like, hey, I've been trying to get this stuff under control, but I just can't. Now, what we did have too is I was standing in the same place that you were at that point. You had the SLS camera.
Yep.
You were catching orbs, correct, around the same space. All of a sudden, I can feel like the air conditioning turned on, but it was like somebody had the air conditioning vent to my back. That's spirit for me. And yes, she had air conditioning that was coming and going, but we weren't standing under any vents. And it was like it went through you. And I'm talking about that. And all of a sudden you're feeling the same thing. Yeah. And we were connecting with an energy that belongs to someone that she knows.
Yes.
And we were getting all this information. You were catching things on your equipment. The K2 meter wasn't going off, but it was going up.
Yeah.
And I think the REM pod's temperature also was going as well.
Yeah.
All in that core. Literally, we've got, I don't know what it is, triangles. That was more of a triangle type experience again.
It really was. And the thing about the triangle aspect of it is I could see literally a triangle on the SLS camera that showed from where the fireplace was to kind of, you have to be there to really understand the mapping of it. But I talked about that because when I see things, because what I love about this SLS camera too, is it catches things that we cannot see to our visual eyes. So if there's an orb that come through, then it would see that even though we can't see it. Or if something is starting to manifest, it can register that and we can see that on the screen. And not always at the same time that we're looking at it. Sometimes I have to go through and watch the recordings to see what happens. But yes, there was that triangle of activity. And what's even more interesting about that, her husband, who had passed, it's almost, I don't know how you would describe, it's not like a shrine or anything, but she had items of his that was there on the dresser, like, what he did for a living, cards, all these different things that was related to him, of which we picked up a lot of time of spirit that was right there on that dresser, right where she had those items at. Like, I'm getting the chills right now because of this.
That space right there, yeah.
It was that space. And then what we felt, because we're always debunking. And, my question to her is, are you sure it's not the air conditioner? Do you feel that? I walk around, but it was clearly not, because this was a rush. If you're ever outside and you get that one swoop of wind that comes by you, that's exactly what it was. It was there and then it left. It never came back. throughout the entire day of us being there. And we were there for hours. Mm-hmm. So that's really interesting.
We also went through the house with the equipment separately, and just to see what we would feel. And there really wasn't a lot in any of the other rooms. The rooms that were a little bit more of a hot spot the first time we were there, that energy absolutely calmed and centered. Now, what we learned in this is that grief is a powerful tool for opening ourselves up to energies coming in. And it doesn't happen to everybody. So I want you guys to know that first and foremost. But what we found in this particular experience is that this grief that has lasted about a year this month, right? The first year of grief is very heavy. And where we felt the energy and where she was having activity were all areas that she was processing in the home. Yeah. She wasn't processing anywhere else in the home. Right. And so therefore, we were able to really pinpoint that that was the only area that was consumed with so much grief and anger and all the things you go through in that state.
And we have evidence of that. We have evidence of that. Yeah, because as we did the walkthrough throughout the house and going back and reviewing the footage, there was no activity in those other places. No activity. And we had activity after activity after activity in that specific room. So what we're going to do
is we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and explain some of the things that we do to empower you in your space, that we can do to help elevate the energy, raise the vibration, things that we bring with us that we offer for your home and your land. And then we're going to talk about our last trip, well, my first trip to the paranormal experience of the Palomar Hotel. So I want you guys to follow us on paranormal road trip. Okay. Paranormal road dash. Yep. We'll figure it out. That's on Facebook. That's on Instagram. We're going to be going live on there tonight to talk about some other things that we're going to be doing up and coming. Also follow LaShawn at Luminous Path with Love, and then go over to Shades of Spirit LLC. Check us out. We're going to take a quick break and be back with more on our paranormal experiences and some paranormal investigations that we've done last week. Welcome back, everybody. This is Shades of Spirit. I'm psychic medium Jaime. I have got the fabulous LaShawn The Luminous Mystic from Luminous Path with Love with me today. We are promoting and talking about our baby, our child, if you will, paranormal road trip, which is this is all strictly paranormal investigation. So it's not going to be readings. We're not going to have, we might pull some fun like cards for like Halloween, or just like I've got Halloween decks and some like dark mirror decks and stuff. So we still have our gifts as a paranormal team. But our primary focus is going out and investigating and empowering people through education about the paranormal. It was funny because Emily, we were talking real quick before we started the show, and I mentioned, about my tapestries, and I'm like, oh, this is my favorite time of year, fall, Halloween. I'll get the Ouija board one out for October. And she's like, oh, I watched that movie Ouija board, and that would just freaked her out, right? And I'm like, oh, we're going to do another show on all the different tools and physical mediumship. So we'll probably do that after Wrightwood. And I'll tell you about that in just a second, you guys. But all these different things that are made to scare us from TV and movies, which rightfully so, you want that rise. How else are they going to make money? But at the same time, we're here then to put the empowerment back into the owner's space. Now, this doesn't mean that when we go to locations that have activity, that when we're about to leave, we're waving around the sage, singing out prayers, and trying to get the energies to move on. There's two differences in this. When someone calls because they have activity in their home and they're looking for some guidance and some help, then we're coming in to make sure that it's a safe place. We're bringing all of our paranormal equipment. We're using our gifts as intuitives, psychics, mediums. We're putting all of this together. We're both Reiki masters, so feeling the energy of the space. LaShawn went through that shamanic course, and so she's got that with her as well. So when she's out working with the land, and I'm working on the land on the Reiki part. Like, we're bringing everything that we know into the paranormal investigating, but not everybody is about the paranormal. That's why we created Paranormal Road Trip. Now, we were just talking in the first half about a client's home that we did last week. And we wanted to wrap that part up with not just, oh, we found all sorts of activity, and, grief really kind of brought a lot of this activity into her space, because it's such a heavy process, right, to go through is grief. And yet she has really been moving forward with her life over the past few months and really kind of taken things back. And now this was the next step. And then I'm going to be doing a reading and a Reiki session with her to continue this healing process. But we wanted to do the home first to make sure that we could get anything that was there that really shouldn't be there, that maybe wasn't something that she or someone that she invited in herself, and clear that out. So once we decided and knew, and was validated by the owner as well, and to validate her where the most of the energy was, we decided it was time to now go through and actually do a cleanse of the space, right? For me, my Reiki is always on when I'm doing this. I don't even have to turn it on. It just starts coming out, right? We're now in healing. We want to heal the home. We want to heal the land. We want to heal the energy of the client. So for me, this time around, I brought dragon's blood incense, tobacco, sage, and then copal resin on the charcoal. And so that is kind of, it depends, I'll alter it a bit, but I kind of really wanted to just clear out the energy in the land and the home. So we had walked the property, and then LaShawn got a good vibe of what's going on. And she's like, I want to do the outside, like, perimeter all around the fence. I want to go through and cleanse that. And I said, have at it. My knees are not going to allow me to walk up and down those darn hills. So we started on the outside. She started around the fence, and I started around the perimeter of where the cement started. And then I worked my way up to the house as well, making sure all the windows and doors. For me, it was using that combination outside. But last time we did bring some crystals and put them in the corners, but you felt compelled to also bring crystals again this time. And then your blue sage, which was extremely powerful. So why did you pick the crystals you did? Why did you bring the blue sage? And what did you do with the crystals during that process outside?
Okay, so I chose the blue sage because it is more, it's more potent, it's stronger than your white sage. The way that I view it is white sage is great if you just want the antibacterial functions of it. If you want to clear your home where it's nothing really too heavy, it does the light work, if you will. Where the blue sage, for me, it's much heavier. It goes into the more darker, heavier things. It is something that I know that Native Americans use. It's very powerful for them, and that they use as well. And I say this from experience, just so people know, and that come after us. My great grandfather was Native American in an actual tribe. Okay, so picking up these different things of what, how to do them. Now, the crystals that I chose was black tourmaline, clear quartz, and rose quartz. And what I did was I sprinkled it as I was saging on the outside of the perimeter of the house. And there were on the four corners, what I did was I took a bigger piece and I stuck it in the ground. Okay, the black tourmaline was for the protection aspect. To me, the black tourmaline is the highest protection that you go. So far as crystals, I equate that with Archangel Michael on the darker crystal side color I'm talking about. Whereas clear quartz is a protector, but I consider that to be the lighter of Archangel Michael color wise of the crystals. And then the rose quartz was so that love energy, that unconditional love on all levels is felt for spirit, for the homeowners of which she may be selling. And so anyone who comes onto that property will be able to feel and understand and have that loving feeling instead of anything else that we may have felt. And that is why, of which I also plan it on each side of her front door. So when you come in, that it's a done deal. So yeah,
I love it. Then I went through the inside of the house with the same mixture. And I used some other things, but to avoid controversy, it's my own personal choice of what I use. And so you don't get to know all of our secrets. Okay. But it's always a very high vibrational items that we use. But then as I go through and clear it, and this actually worked out well because we did this last time, LaShawn had her put rose water in a spray bottle and then do what to kind of seal the energy. What did you have her do?
So when I do the rose water, and the first time we did the rose water, I had to put her hands underneath the running water into a bowl because I wanted her energy to be infused with that as well. Rose oil is the highest vibrational oil that you can get. Okay. And so that time she went through and she sprinkled in each of the room with her intention. I do what I do still, okay? But for me, it is very important for the homeowner to feel empowered because they are there. This is their space, and they need to take complete ownership and be empowered to know that they have that control over, what can happen and to will it in, if you will. And then at that point, we did different archangels for each room. Now, this time, what she said, she loved that process as well. We did the same thing. She knew what to do, and she took it head on. I felt like I didn't even need to follow her around to do. I just went and did what I did, and I could just see her going around and spraying that bottle, putting her intentions in there because she knew what to do. She felt empowered enough to do it on her own, and I love that.
No, that's what we do.
That's what we do. Yep.
And so I can't wait to go back and feel what the energy feels like in that space. And where I'm going to do the Reiki is going to be in the same room where the activity was that we had kind of cleared that energy. I had Reiki'd that room and then put in the protection symbols throughout that room, the ceiling, the floor. But I want to continue keeping that vibration high. So I'm actually going to do her session in that space, because I think it's important to keep that energy vibration as high as possible, because we're still going to grieve. We're going to still have those moments, and those are her safe space. So now she can hold it in a space of love and healing, as opposed to that darker side of grief that we go through. Right. So that's just in a gist what we do at homes, and every home is freaking different, right? We've had times where we've been in and out in an hour and a half. We've had times where we're there 4 hours. It just depends on the energy of the homeowner first and foremost, making sure they're okay and they're safe, and then working into the house itself. So also when we go, it's kind of talking to the homeowner and evaluating how they're feeling, where their energy is at, in order to be able to kind of identify with the energy in the space. So it's not just show up with your equipment and then blah, blah, blah. We don't make the families leave. I want the families involved. I've done this where there's families with children. So we alter our approach and the way that we have conversations and the things that we bring for the children. Because it's happened to me in my own family. I have 3 kids. They're all gifted. They've all had energies come to them. That's where it gets a little bit tricky, but it's also from the standpoint as a parent that I want my kids empowered, and I'm not going to lead them down a path of fear, that we're going to bring them into that space. So that's just one thing that we do. Then we like to go investigate places that are allegedly haunted. Ooh. So LaShawn found this place because she lives up in that area. And we decided that we were going to book the entire hotel and open it up to those that wanted to come and do a paranormal investigation with us. But this is the first time we've done one overnight with a group. I have chills. Chills. So it was a Thursday night, right? Just a casual weekday night where we all just dropped on down to the Palomar Hotel. And we got there early. We set up equipment. Equipment was going off immediately in a room that you knew that had activity, which I did not know. I just knew that you were going to give me a haunted room. That's all. But you never know what that means. So we had stuff from the very flippin' beginning, before any of the participants showed up. We had cat balls going off. We had REM pods going off. We had the K2s going off. It was like Christmas morning for us. As soon as we turn a piece of equipment on and set it down and walk away, the darn thing went off. That's when you know you got something good, right? So by the time we got there, so we're explaining this quickly, but a lot of detail because we're going to be doing another one of these. And we're going to be doing these other locations as well. We all went out and got something to eat, right? To get to know each other. Everyone relaxed a little bit, got back, everyone got comfortable. We all met in the living room little area. And I pulled a few cards. We were all just kind of talking, kind of bring the energy in a safe space, love and light. Little message for everyone so that they can kind of be tuned in. And then we started. So many things happened.
So listen, I tried to warn everybody before we got there. I really did. About we were not going to get any sleep. And that's exactly what happened.
Oh my God, you guys. It was so much fun. Like I literally, we went to a little candy shop in Temecula, right? And I looked at one of the participants and I said, I feel like mom just took us as a slumber party over to the candy shop to pick some things out. Like we were all giddy and excited and ready for what was to come. And I love that you got a lot of feedback from one of the participants. And she explained how much she loved that we walked them through every single part of the process, that we explained things that were happening. When they had questions, we had answers and took the time to be able to explain what was happening so that they understood, not feared it, right?
Right.
And yet there were some screams, of course. But I think which was fascinating and that we were actually able to do with everyone except you this time was the SD method. Yes. And I think that's one thing that we want to talk about real quick is the SD method, how that works, and then kind of what we were talking about last night, right? About the interpretation of what was coming through. And that fun box next to you, has it said anything else to you since we started this?
The only thing it said was government and grandma. Those only two words that came up so far. So
I wonder what's happening in LaShawn's household. So no, the SD method is something I got to try at an investigation up in Myria at an undisclosed location. And I think talk about that briefly about how well that worked when it was two of you asking questions and just me sitting there about the responses and then getting that immediate validation from the person that knows the history of the place.
Yeah. So the SD method is where we take the spirit box and we plug it into noise canceling headphones. The person that's doing the method, they're blindfolded. So that way all their other senses are sharpened. Okay. And so what happens is the SD box goes through a sweeping of radio stations. So it's kind of like a white noise type of situation. And what we do is we ask questions. And whatever the person is doing, in this case, let's say Jaime was the person that's on the box, she would just say anything that she heard. Whatever she heard, you just say it. She doesn't hear us. I throw in test stuff to make sure that she can't hear us throughout the process. And and that's what happens. And it's pretty amazing because when we are asking specific questions, and if we get an answer that we know is related to that question, then that means that we have an intelligent spirit that is able to do that, which is amazing on a whole nother level. That's a whole nother level of excitement, because if I ask you your name and you give me a name directly to what we just asked you, that's an intelligent spirit. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. And yes, it is interpretation. We very clear about when, how to do this process, because you can't be in your head. Your ego has to step out. I don't want you to say, oh, I think it said. No, just say what you thought you heard, and then we'll take it from there type of situation.
What's interesting is that we don't make you do any of these exercises. No. And LaShawn sets it up front that if you're somebody that just kind of gets tired at 3 a.m. and you want to go to your room, know that we're going to still be up investigating those that want to continue investigating. You're free to go to your room. You're free to go investigate parts that you feel drawn to. But I love that our group stuck together and did this as a group. Everyone who signed up to participate got to participate in the SD method. Which was fantastic because we all had different experiences. One person really didn't hear much. Right. And then 2 people had some similar things. And then my experience was a bit different as well of stuff coming through, but you got to actually participate in the things that you're seeing on TV on these shows in a safe space, because we're not going to allow anything to come in that isn't there for our highest and best. Now, I taught scrying with mirrors. So we had two people that went to two separate rooms and shut the doors. And one of them actually saw energies coming in around them, and both of them could see transfiguration within their own faces. By that point, they were kind of done. I get it when we start feeling and seeing things happen with our own physical body. We also did a method where someone sits in front of us and we use the light behind them to kind of see energies coming through, and then transfiguration again in a different capacity, which was fascinating. At one point it kind of got heavy. Okay. So we're not going to lie. It wasn't like we had, again, unicorns and roses over here. The energy started to shift and it started to get a little bit heavier. And what we ended up doing is I'm like, okay, we need to take a break. And I turned on music from the 1920s, from the time that this building had been in existence. And all of a sudden, the energy shifted. Our energy rose because of the music. And then all of a sudden, your tracker was only going off in one section to the beat of the flippin' music. Like people were dancing right in that area.
It was I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. And this just goes to show that how different things happen in different situations. I don't know.
That's why we have all these different pieces of equipment, because when we use the tracker at that other location, they were actually following up and down, but we had a lot of kids. So it was almost like they were like, ooh, look at the lights light up here. And then it would come back, where this time it was just where the music was, where we were, like they were dancing to the tempo of the music.
It was something.
But then let me tell you, LaShawn's like, now you guys know my knees aren't great. So about 3, I'm in bed, just kind of hanging out because I need to get off my feet. So they're out there giggling in the halls and just having a good time. And she's like, we're going to go outside. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then some of them go outside, right? Okay, cool. They come back in. Finally, LaShawn calms down because she's all about the slumber party in her onesie pajamas. Let me tell you. She goes to bed and I'm kind of now dozing a bit, just a bit. And all of a sudden, the damn K2 goes off because it makes this loud noise and it lights up and it's hot. Like the energy is just on fire right there. And I'm like, I pick it up like I'm an annoyed mother that my kid woke me up for the 14th time because they want a glass of water. And I'm like, so I'm like, all right, fine. I know you're here. Thanks. I put it back down. 2 seconds later, and I'm like, oh my God, LaShawn is literally screaming, running across the room, jumping over one of the participants and spooning him in bed. But then that room, the cat balls started going off. My K2 kept going off. Yeah. But we were at that witching hour, if you will.
It was amazing.
But it wasn't that you felt like it was a negative energy coming to attack you. It was that we had all quieted down. Don't make that face and scare people. Everything had quieted down to where then we could hear the footsteps and so it's more startling for a minute, right? But LaShawn freaks out when there's a beetle in her tool or she thinks that there's a snake, you guys. So let's just be honest. But at the same time, you reacted. And that's okay. We're allowed to react, right? So then everyone comes out. I finally get my ass out of bed and we all like check in with one another and make sure that everybody's good. And then everybody finally calmed down and went back to bed. And LaShawn went to bed with me because she's like, I'm not being by myself anymore, which again is fine, right? We're there for one another and the sun came out and she went to bed. But that is the things that we experience on our first overnight experience. So I want to go over real quick because we got 2 minutes left. Some of the things that we have coming up. I know. We're going to do more of these. So hold more stories. So next week we have a sold out tour at the Whaley House. And then LaShawn and I are going to be staying at the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Old Town. So that's going to be awesome because we're going to bring all of our equipment. Then on the 30th.
Other guests that are staying too, which is still available if anybody else want to come down to the hotel and stay the night.
That's true. You have to book your hotel through your room through the hotel.
Yep.
But there's going to be some guests they're going to investigate with us during the night next week. On the 30th, we're doing a paranormal experience group reading. So it's at the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Old Town, San Diego. Go to Shades of Spirit LLC to get the information and details. We're also going to be hanging out at the Whaley House. And then we've got more dates on the calendar, which we're going to be bringing to you soon. So you guys go to Paranormal Road Trip, Instagram, Facebook, go check LaShawn out. You can still sign up for our Mystic Weekend in the Woods at Wrightwood. Go to Luminous Path with Love to get that information. Sign up for readings with me at Shades of Spirit LLC. You guys, we are out. We will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for joining us and have an empowered day. You've been listening to Shades of Spirit with me, Jaime. Tune in next time on Transformation Talk Radio as I connect you with your crossed over loved ones, angels, and guides. For more information and to book your own private experience, go to shadesofspirit.com. That's shadesofspirit.com.